Thank you, Radharani. Thank you, Krishna, for bringing me back to the Holy Dham, the best spiritual place on earth. India could be said to be the nicest place in the world, but within India, then there's Vrindavan, and within Vrindavan, there's the Krishna Balaram temple. And so many people come, it's so rewarding to see the evolution, the excitement, people serving in so many ways. But the speciality of this temple is that Radharani manifests the playground of Vrindavan for Krishna. So Radharani manifesting the playground for Krishna is the compassionate, soft aspect of Krishna consciousness. The gopis don't even want to let Krishna's feet touch the ground. They put their bodies before Krishna's feet so it couldn't touch the ground. That's softness and compassion. And then Balaram manifested the playground for Krishna as well, but as Prabhupada said, in a different way. So we have aspects of the soul, of compassion and softness. And Prabhupada said Krishna consciousness is not always peace of mind, because in the mood of the gopis, we want to serve more. And then there's Balaram, which allows us to be bold for Krishna. And it allows us to understand the spontaneous stage, the spontaneous aspect of Krishna consciousness. Raganuga and Viraga Bhakti, when Prabhupada told me that the spontaneous, after you learn the rules and regulations, it becomes part of you, and then the spontaneous stage happens, and then Krishna consciousness became and still is a great adventure. And my partner in merry prankstership, Samarshund, and I will tell some of these pastimes of how this all began and how this place all began. We're going to talk about in this morning's class because it's somewhat relevant. We're talking about Prahlad Maharaj now. And so Hiranyakashipu has just been dispatched, and now we're reading this verse here. Yata katyam mayam tavam kitam idam nara tavam cha mam cha smaram kale karma bandhat pramachite. Would anybody else want to read the verse? Do you have? Oh, there it is. Would anybody else like to read?
च स्मरन् काले कर्मबन्धात् प्रमुच्यते तत्कीर्तयन् मह्यम् त्वया गीतम् इदं नरः मां च स्मरन् काले कर्मबन्धः प्रमुच्यते तत्कीर्तयन् मह्यम् त्वया गीतम् इदं नरः मां च स्मरन् काले कर्मबन्धः प्रमुच्यते
Thank you. Ya, anyone who, ita, this activity, kirtayat, chants, mayam, unto me, tavaya, by you, gitam, prayers offered, idam, this, naraha, human being, dava, you, cha, as well as, mamcha, me, also, smaran, remembering, kale, in due course of time, karma bandhahat, from the bondage of material activities, pramachayute, becomes free. Translation: one who always remembers your activities and my activities also, and who chants the prayers you have offered, becomes free in due course of time from the reactions of material activities. Okay, once more. One who remembers your activities and my activities also, and who chants the prayers you have offered, becomes free in due course of time from the reactions of material activities. Purport. Here it is stated that anyone who chants and hears about the activities of Prahlad Maharaj, and in relationship with Prahlad's activities, the activities of Nrsimhadev gradually becomes free from all the bondage of fruitive activities, as stated in the Bhagavad-Gita 2:15-256. Yam hina vyata yante ete purusham purushashava sam dukkha sukham dirdam samitave kalapate. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Dukhash anudaga manahaha sukeshe vigatas parahaha vitaraga baya krido shvita dir manu uchayate. One who is not disturbed in spite of the threefold miseries, who is not elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. A devotee should not be aggrieved in an awkward position, nor should he feel extraordinarily happy in material opulence. This is the way of expert management of material life. Because a devotee knows how to manage expertly, he is called Jiva Mukta. As Rupa Goswami explains in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Iyayasya hara disye karmana manasaj gira niklasva apiyavas hastu jivan mukta sa yujatyate. A person acting in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, in the service of Krishna, with his body, mind, intelligence, and words, is a liberated person even within this material world. although he may be engaged in many so-called material activities. Because of constantly engaging in devotional service in any condition of life, the devotee is free from all material bondage. Bhakti punyatamam nista sva pikan apasam visvat. Even one born in a family of meat-eaters is purified if he engages in devotional service. Bhagavatam 11:14-21. Srila Jiva Goswami cites this verse in logically supporting that anyone who chants about the pure love and activities of Prahlad Maharaj is freed from the reactions of material activities. Prahlad is the very inspiring example of this aspect of devotional service. Hiranyakasipu was acquiring more and more material wealth and strength. And through tapasya, he was gathering all these material boons. While this was happening, Prahlad was hearing about Krishna, in the womb even. And so this story can give us inspiration, because material life, as it's mentioned, the world of duality, you can't feel pain without pleasure, you can't know hot without cold. This is a philosophical basic. You can't know spiritual life if you haven't experienced material life. This dichotomy is going on. It's called the razor's edge of spiritual life, that we're in this planet of duality, so it gets in the way of our spiritual life. So this is what we're always dealing with. And Prahlad Maharaj is this beautiful example of that, because he's gaining spiritual strength, but he's also being attacked. Krishna, must you be so theatrical? Actually, I'll tell the story because Krishna did it. And we'll tell it more. But when Samarshunda was asked by Prabhupada to ask George Harrison for money for the Prahlad book, the Krishna book, Prabhupada said Krishna was translating on the shoulder. Samarshunda didn't want to do it because we were just giving to George, and then he went and he asked George, and George didn't like it because we were just giving to him, and then suddenly George's face changed, and you could see he said, "Oh, you're like everybody else." He was angry, and then like that, lightning came, and the cottage shook, and the lights went out. And then the man had a generator, put the lights on, and George was smiling, and he said, "Krishna, must you be so theatrical?" So as I was saying, Krishna was supporting that material life is challenging, and so in the world of duality. And so how do we keep our Krishna consciousness? And so Prahlad is an example of this, because he was certainly challenged in his Krishna consciousness. Who can tell me some of the boons that Hiranyakashipu accrued? Anybody? This is a class. What are some of the strengths that Hiranyakashipu got? Exactly. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And not day or night, and all that. And he accrued, and still, Krishna was able to get around that. Because of time, place, and circumstance, this also helps us to understand Krishna consciousness. Just like when Krishna said, Aswatthama the elephant is dead, and blew the conch shell, we use that as a reasoning to fool the authorities in London. If Krishna can fool the Pandavas, fool them by blowing the conch shell, Aswatthama the elephant is dead, then we could fool the authorities. And this is in the style of Balaram. Flexible and Navayovana, every fresh, not just we're doing this comfortable going along, but new, fresh, going on every day. How can I serve? How can I nourish my Krishna consciousness? And if Krishna can change into Abhimanyu and fool Yasoda, then we said, well, we can fool the authorities in London. So Prahlad was definitely challenged. He was attacked so many times. And yet, he maintained his Krishna consciousness. And so this purport that Prabhupada's talking about is that in the material world, that it's very difficult to be free from getting contaminated by material life. The way he says in the purport is that naturally in the material world, when you're acting, you're doing pious things, but also by the interaction of the material world, you're doing impious things. However, in Vrindavan, I think it's a little bit different. We're not, in Mumbai. I like Mumbai, but I'm just saying it's different. The opportunity that we have here in the Dham, because everywhere is Krishna. It's amazing because this was just fields out here, and I come in and there's signs and there's a partition in the road and there's restaurants, and I don't know where that village of thieves went. There was a village of thieves down the road, and they must have been absorbed by some condominiums or something. The village of thieves, they were allowed because India's tolerant, and so they were stealing some of the construction things. I had a chowkidar. He comes from Radha Shyamachandra Temple. I'm a chowkidar. No, he says, I'm a cook, but I'd like to be a chowkidar. So I said, okay, we'll try you out. So, and this is when we're just building this. This was a piece of land, and now look. This was a flat piece of land. So, the man's a chowkidar, and because there was a village of thieves and they were stealing things. So I checked in the middle of the night to see how our new chowkidar was doing. He's sleeping. So I nudged him. I woke him. Maharaj. I said, where's your danda? Where's your stick? Oh, I've hidden it because the thieves may come and beat me with it. Well, now you're a cook again. So someone asked Prabhupada, because they're stealing things, can we get a gun? Yes. Prabhupada says yes. So many things. He's so adventurous and so open-minded, yet so uncompromising and strict at the same time. I asked him, I don't know why I asked him, but in Canada, I asked him, can we wear Lord Nrsimha masks on Harinam? You know, like some of the devotees would be wearing Nrsimha, and he said yes. And he supported it with a Charles Chaplin film. What great men do, others will follow. So he says, yes, you can get a gun, but shoot over their heads. Get the gun, but don't shoot them, shoot over their head. Prabhupada says on a film, we don't even kill an ant. That is love. So if we don't even kill an ant, that is love. He didn't say shoot them. He didn't go to the store and say, what caliber should we get that'll be more effective? He just was saying, shoot over their heads, then they won't. And then he told a story to support it. Narada Muni had a disciple who was a cobra. And so when this serpent, when this cobra that terrorized the village became a meek devotee, the children took advantage of this and they threw rocks at him and called him names. How do you think that cobra put on his tilak? Anybody know? He didn't have hands. What?
One said tongue, one said name.
Sorry?
One devotee said tongue by tongue, one devotee said by names.
Oh, those are good. But it was Das Anudas, one of the other Prabhus, put the tilak on for him. So this is what he's becoming Krishna conscious, as the children are throwing rocks. So he goes to his guru, Narada Muni, and said, now I'm a Vaishnava and the children are calling me names and throwing rocks. What should I do? And Narada Muni said, well, yes, you're a Vaishnava, but you're also a cobra, so raise your hoods, but don't bite. And at that point, Prabhupada imitated a cobra with his eyes like, ah. I wish I would have whipped out my camera at that point. But I got a couple of good photos of Prabhupada with those wide eyes. I'm working on a new photo, which is the photojournalistic history of Krishna consciousness in the West. All the first photographs of Prabhupada and the Beatles and the evolution of Krishna consciousness, which it's so nice to see so many people coming here. I saw this advertised in a worldwide, it wasn't even a special thing for spirituality. ISKCON Krishna Balaram Temple was advertised as a place to go in India, something like that. So much has transpired over the years. Prabhupada sat under that tamal tree. I think this is the third generation. They wanted to cut that tamal tree down, And Krishna Das Babaji, he was so great, one of Prabhupada's godbrothers, he knew when Prabhupada would show up. He didn't have a Facebook account. He knew somehow or other. And he'd show up and he laughed and chanted and sometimes spoke. But mostly he would stay with Anand and in the shack, and he was just delightful. There was another Krishna Das Babaji over in Radhakund, but this one was Prabhupada's godbrother, who was just show up by Chaitya Guru. And I knew that there were only 5 tamal trees in Vrindavan. So I was appealing to Prabhupada that please, we shouldn't cut down this tree. The plans were that this courtyard was a little bit someplace else, and this and the darshan mandap was also someplace else. And I think Prabhupada was hearing me, but when Krishnadas Babaji substantiated this, it was so nice. Prabhupada simply said, "Move the temple. Move the temple." So then new plans were drawn. I don't know if you know the miracle that happened here of Prabhupada. So many miracle is defined as deviation from the norm. So there's miracles every day with Prabhupada, but there's some things that are really manifested as miracles. I was to meet Prabhupada in the Delhi airport with Shamashunda, and it was just us coming to Vrindavan. Now I had come here for Prabhupada to get the palace, Keshi got palace, but that didn't work out. I had a chance to experience Vrindavan as Ban Bihar. It was so nice, but I also, back then the parikrama was much different, and I was crying and couldn't stand. The bank was there, and I was led around by a brahmachari of Shama Devi, who became our enemy because she wanted this temple. Many challenges, we'll talk about that, Prahlad, Nrsinga. But I had a chance to do Ban Bihar, but now we're coming back for business with Prabhupada because Mr. Saraf had given us the land and we were finalizing everything. At the same time, Gaurachan Goswami and Madan Mohan Goswami were not even talking to one another, and we had to finalize the Radha Damodar rooms. Samarshund is typing, and I'm putting people who were enemies in different rooms in Mr. Saraf's house. Shama Devi brings a member of parliament. That's another story. But on the way, we're riding in the car, and I'm thinking, this is the highest transcendental pleasure because I'm with my Guru Maharaj going to the highest transcendental place on earth. From 1967, because I read about Vrindavan, I asked Prabhupada, can I come to Vrindavan? And he remembered. I forgot, I was in London, I always wanted to, but he remembered. And so now we're going there, and I'm thinking, this is so wonderful. And he's in the front seat, and when Prabhupada sometimes would do a shloka or sing a bhajan, he would clear his throat a little because his beautiful honey and husky and gravelly voice would come out with a shloka. And I'm thinking, he's going to come out. I can tell because I was with him so many years. It's either it's a quote, he's doing that voice a little bit before he's doing it. It's going to be a shloka, it's going to be a bhajan, instruction. Well, it was an instruction. Something's coming out, but I'm expecting Chintamani Prakata Manaso Kalpa Brika Lakshashi Tresu, and he says, cement. Cement. He says, we've got to build a water tower like that. He points to it because he was very practical, as well as everything else. Very practical. He had an account book when he was living alone in Radha Temple. So many annas a day of rice, this and that. Very practical. So he says, cement, we've got to build a water tower. Okay? After that day with Mr. Saraf and we got the land here, the challenge was that people did not accept us. I just came from Mumbai, and I remember the challenges there, attacks, everything, just like Prahlad was challenged. We're challenged in our devotional life. We have the opportunity now that we don't have to fend off people attacking us. But even in Vrindavan, we were attacked here more than once. And there was this devotee, I think Dvichahari. Prabhupada attracted all sorts of great devotees. He said we're combining the culture of the East with the dynamics of the West. So sometimes there were devotees who were in the war on Harinam. In London, the people would throw things at us, and it would be coming towards me, and it would hit this guy more than once. His name was Jagannath, and he said, Gurudas, I saw that coming towards you, and then it curved and hit me. Why? And I said, you were a machine gunner killing people in the Vietnam War, and that's why it's your karma, and now you're cleansing it. By this missile, this apple that was thrown at you would have been a bullet. You would have been dead if it wasn't for Krishna, who protects us. And he's still protecting us. And Lord Nrsimha is protecting us, and that's the point. So even here, we were attacked. And after, when we were on the land, people didn't accept us immediately, and this is the miracle, that the water was salty. We decided, let's get some scientists from Delhi. They'll find some sweet water if they ask. They brought all these machines down, nothing. Prabhupada comes one morning with his cane. Dig here. We dug here, sweet water in the midst of salty water, an oasis in the middle of material life. Prabhupada, an oasis, a savitor. Now we were accepted because we were giving sweet water to all the neighbors, except Shama Devi down the road was now our enemy. This woman, it just shows you how interesting life is. It's also, I'm not exactly sticking to the philosophical aspect of this verse, but it is demonstrating it, so please indulge me, okay? Is it all right that I do this way? By demonstrating it with stories of here? The challenge of material life, the duality, Nrsimha protecting and challenging. In London, we met her, We'd have long kirtans. She was a Brijbasi. She loved us. She would demonstrate Vipralamba. She would faint upon us separating. Her disciples loved us. There was I'd like to find that disciple now. She had 7-foot deities of Gaur Nitai, and she carried them in the train with her. She got a first-class compartment for her deities. She carried them. She was lovely. They would display Vipralamba. We would have long kirtans together. She taught us Brijbasi tunes. Her deities were imprisoned in customs because they thought that she was selling them as antiques for money. So they took her deities and she had to clear them. They thought it was just a business thing. I went there to customs and explained, these are her deities, she's not selling them. And as your uniform is representing the law, these deities are representing the Lord for her. So they freed. So we were very close. Now in Vrindavan, she wanted this property. Not only that, when I first came here, Prabhupada sent me here to meet the Maharaja Bharatpur to get Keshigat, and the person I stayed with was Shama Devi. When I first came to Vrindavan, there was a room on the road, and you can hear kirtan wafting across the field. It was Purnima, full moon night. I never could sleep on Purnima when I lived here. Every Purnima, I said, I'm not going to sleep tonight. I'm just going to go Parikrama or something. It's so fantastic. So it's Purnima, and then I hear people in bullock carts. I look out the window. There's a man chanting to the moon. He sold his goods. The bullock knew how to go home. He was just looking at the moon chanting Hare Krishna. I hear someone sweeping next to her. Hare Krishna, old. Hare Krishna. I'm in Vrindavan. And then they took me on the Parikrama. Back then you could just walk to the Jamuna River. Now I can't even find it. I have to go downtown to get to the Jamuna River. Then you could just walk. So she sheltered me, and now she's our enemy because she wanted this piece of land. She already had an auditorium, a Goshala. She had so much. Why would she even want so much more? Because perhaps she was wanting to accrue material happiness, as this verse says. That we spend so much time accruing material happiness, but this is only a band-aid. It's a temporary escape. How much? Then we got to do something else. We got to do something else. Why not eternal happiness? Why not instead of little here happiness? But in Vrindavan, we have a better opportunity. We're not interacting so much in distraction because there is so much Krishna consciousness every place here. And so if we balance our life with seva and shastra, whatever the seva is, it's all valuable for Krishna. Whatever the seva is, Bhaktisiddhanta encouraged preaching, every town and village. Bhakti Vinod Thakur encouraged bhajan. So if someone may not be so bold to go out in the street, they can do their bhajananadi, because this is a perfect place. But we have to do it in Navayovana, ever fresh, not just going along, comfortable, because we're always wanting to please more and more. Please more and more. So Hiranyakasipu was actually liberated by the talon claws of Lord Nrsingadev, but still Prahlad asked for forgiveness for his father. You'll see it in the next verse. It's the Vedic system. It shows the compassion of Prahlad. He was attacked in the womb, out of the womb, by legions. Who knows how some of the ways he was attacked? Who can say? How was Prahlad attacked? Anybody? Yes, fall into a pit of snakes. What else? How was he attacked? Thrown from the mountain, thank you. Boiling.
He was trampled by an elephant.
Trampled
By an elephant.
by elephants. Yes. So all these things are happening, and Lord Nrsinga is protecting. And there's a man in the United States. He was in jail for 25 years. He's muscular, and he says, Gurudas, I really like Lord Nrsinga. He would have really liked Lord Nrsinga masks on Harinam. He was into that mood. And he just wanted to, he was going on the radio, Lord Nrsinga, fierce. And I said, yeah, but his other side was protecting Prahlad Maharaj. So he had the claws, but he had the protection. She even befouled we had a pit dug. You put certain items in there, Ananta Shesh and things like that. And she sent some gundas there to befoul the pit. We had to clean it out. So it was challenging, and like I say, we were living at some dharmshala, and the first year, after a while, we had pilgrimages here, so now there's a lot of devotees, and that year, the townspeople threw rocks at us. This was before we got this. And like I said, Prabhupada attracted all sorts of devotees, and there was another devotee that was in the Vietnam War, Dvija Hari, and he took a big log, and he attacked 25 people, and they stopped attacking us. He was better at it. Just like during the India-Pakistani war in Delhi, I was afraid that the Pakistani Air Force would miss Delhi and hit Vrindavan because they weren't very competent. They never actually got there, but it's a beautiful story. We're in Delhi, India-Pakistani war, Prabhupada, we're looking at the newspaper, and Everybody's covering their windows at night because they were afraid that the lights would attract the bombing jets. Prabhupada didn't do it in the Dharamshala. He was always transcendental. He just didn't do it. He didn't care. So suddenly a committee comes. 4 or 5 people. I always made sure everybody had water, a mat. So I was standing up, and the man says to Swamiji, why aren't you covering the windows? He said, you're not the controller. You can't control your stomach ache, your toothache. Why should I They said, but what if the bomb should come? Prabhupada says, if Krishna wants you to kill, you cannot stop. And if Krishna wants to save, you can't do anything. It's up to him. They said, but what if the bomb should come? And I was standing up, and Prabhupada looks up and he said, then I would see the bomb as Krishna. So we may die at any moment. We don't know, so we have to use every moment preciously. So another aspect that Prabhupada gave us is dasana das, and this can help us. Right now we're in the Dham, and we're not interacting too much in material life, I hope, and we're purifying ourselves, but the Vaishnava love is that you hear somebody and they speak their mind. Now, because Prabhupada's given us a high standard that we have to do, it's easy to judge other people. So we may say, that person's not doing it, but then they'll judge us. And if we have that judgment in our heart, that means it's in our consciousness. So we have to throw out the judgment to each other. Love one another. Help one another. Dasana das. That's the thing that Prabhupada gave us that can change the world. Now, India has this already. When I came here, I saw again the service attitude. People doing it in the airport, this and that. So we have this advantage because not everybody has this service attitude. But because the standard is high and we're trying to make advancements, sometimes we'll neglect each other. And we don't want to. We want to give each other this love. We want to feel, and we want people to feel that they can say, well, I'm not chanting my rounds so much lately. Well, what should I? Whatever. Give that love to each other because that will help us to endure. Otherwise, it's just impersonalism. It's impersonalism in the guise of personalism. That's the difference. We're personalists. Radha and Krishna, love. Not we become God. We're personalists. So, this is an important thing that we nourish and help one another in our Krishna consciousness. In the Dham, so, as we say, automatically, as we act, we're coming into contact with impious activities and pious activities. The impious activities may be coming from within. And so this is the challenge, that we have so much anartha, so many things of the past, our karma, that we have to overcome, and we're purifying. But we have the formula. And as it says, chanting. So in this verse, it's not only chanting to Krishna, but it's also chanting the glories of the great devotees, the great inspirations of Prahlad Maharaj. Not just Prahlad Maharaj, the inspiration of Lord Chaitanya, the inspiration of Narada Muni, the inspiration of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the inspiration of Narada Narottama Das Thakur. All the inspiration and the present inspiration of the devotees who have sacrificed their lives. We just came from Mumbai, and each one of us is part of the puzzle, but there was, again, attacks, actual attacks by gundas and people and fighting. And so we have a lot to inspire us. And that's how we've been able to endure for 50 years, because we have Prabhupada to inspire us. If he didn't come on the boat, we wouldn't know each other. We wouldn't be sitting in this assembly, both metaphorically, literally, scientifically, objectively. We wouldn't know each other. I wouldn't be having the benefit of this great philosophy. And so he came. He could have gone back when he had his heart stroke. He loved Vrindavan. He missed Vrindavan. He told me he missed Vrindavan. Of all the places, he missed Vrindavan more than Mayapur. And Pishima used to come here too. There was a rivalry between Mayapur and Vrindavan. Who can get Pishima? And she stayed here. It's true. And where did he come? Vrindavan. So this was his place. And yet he had another stroke. He went to the shipping office. It's like taking a thorn out with a thorn. To get it out of your system, he would go to the shipping office, and the man saw Swamiji. He had pointed shoes from Bengal, gold, like that. Swamiji, you're looking at the schedules. When are you going to go? No, I'm not going to go, but I'm looking at the schedules because I miss Vrindavan. He just had another heart stroke. Then he had another one. We chanted like anything. Then he came back here to recuperate. He got better. He came back to us again. So, offer a leaf, a fruit, a flower, some water. Krishna will protect you. Sing the glories of Prahlad Maharaj. Nrsimha, Lord Nrsimha will protect you. Prabhupada so many times, by showing us the way, has protected me. It's like WWPD. What would Prabhupada do? He's always like every day, well, do it this way, do it that way, and there's a category for everything. Accounting, put it down immediately. Art means full belly. People can appreciate art if they're sacrificing, or they can't appreciate spiritual life if they're surviving. Category for everything. It helps me. So we have the beauty of this spiritual path. We have the beauty of so many books. I know people with gurus have no tapes, no books, nothing. We have the books. We have places all over the world. We have films. I'm doing a care project for people who can't even walk. We're bringing MP3. They can hear it in their sick bed. We have so much. This microphone is because of Prabhupada. This because of Prabhupada. Actually, I bought this for Prabhupada in San Francisco. He said, Gurudas, where's the receipt? I said, what's the receipt? He says, oh, you American boys have no training. I will train you. So even that, he trained. So we have all of this, and we have each other, And we have Lord Nrsimha to protect us, so we'll do his glories. Tavakara kamala badena kamadbhuta sringham dalita hiranyakashipu danaringham keshavadrita narahare rupa jaya jagadisha hari jaya jagadisha hari jaya jagadisha hari Tavakara kamala varena kamadbhuta adbhuta sringham dalita hiranyakasipu tanubringham keshavadrita narahari rupa jaya jagadisha hari Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Nrsimha Day 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Thank you very much.